Most people think love fades with time, yet you'll learn it sometimes returns in the quiet moments when you're no longer searching. I still remember the silence after she left, because silence teaches you things about hope that noise never could reveal. Stay with this thought, let it soften, because rediscovery begins the moment you stop insisting the past defined your entire future. Between two heartbeats, life whispers another chance, often when you believe the book is closed and every chapter has already been read. A quiet laugh, a breath. The world softens, reminding you that your heart never retired from feeling. Have you noticed how silence grows louder with age, guiding you toward conversations your younger self rushed past without understanding? I met a woman once who swore she'd never love again, yet sometimes the heart opens quietly while the mind still resists. And yet every scar carries its own quiet beauty, reminding you that life's rough edges often reveal surprising invitations. Healing begins the moment you stop chasing closure and start listening to what your loneliness has been trying to teach you. Sometimes the person who broke you teaches you the most, because pain reveals the parts of yourself you forgot to honor. Stay with this moment. Your strength isn't in pretending everything's fine, but in admitting your heart still wants to love again. Once someone told me the same thing before they healed, and they discovered peace was waiting just beyond their resistance. Sometimes what hurts sets you free, revealing that endings aren't punishments, but turning points you weren't ready to imagine. A quiet laugh. The world softens, reminding you that even grief eventually grows tired of holding you hostage. Psychologists say attraction after 50 comes from peace, not thrill, because calm becomes the new kind of beautiful. Maybe love's purpose isn't comfort, it's awakening, guiding you toward parts of yourself you forgot were worthy. Stay with this thought, let it soften, as every loss you survived is preparing you for a safer kind of affection. Tonight, write one truth you've avoided saying aloud, because honesty becomes the first doorway love can safely return through. One warm coffee cup can say everything when shared with someone who listens, as if your stories were written for their heartbeat. She said romance was extinct. I disagreed, because sometimes all it takes is one unexpected smile to rewrite the entire day. Have you noticed how someone's presence can feel familiar, even when you've only known them for a moment? And yet, every scar carries its own quiet beauty, especially when someone new sees the parts you hid and stays anyway. A quiet laugh, a breath. The world softens as you begin trusting the possibility that connection still lives within you. Online dating at 60? Emojis became the new poetry, proving that humor still opens hearts faster than perfection ever did. Stay with this thought, let it soften, because unexpected conversations often become the first steps toward unexpected affection. Maybe love returns not as a storm, but as morning light. Quiet, honest, impossible to ignore once it touches you. Every love story begins with courage, especially the one you never planned to write again after everything you survived. Between two moments, affection grows into something steady, reminding you that desire after 50 carries patience that your younger years never understood. Stay with this thought, let it soften, because connection deepens when you finally allow someone to see the truths you once guarded. Sometimes what hurts sets you free, making space for the kind of passion that isn't rushed, but gently welcomed.
Your heart doesn't grow old, it grows honest, guiding you toward affection rooted in presence rather than performance.
A quiet laugh, a breath. The world softens when someone looks at you like you're worth slowing life down for. Have you noticed how shared silence becomes its own language, especially when two people feel safe enough to simply exist together? Once someone told me passion dimmed with age, yet it only transforms, burning steadier because you finally know your worth. Stay with this thought, let it soften, because affection grows strongest when rooted in the gentle acceptance of each other's imperfections. Maybe love's purpose isn't comfort, it's awakening, teaching you that desire can return long after you stopped expecting its warmth. Tonight, write one truth you've hidden from your own heart, because honesty creates the opening passion and needs to breathe freely. I met a woman once who believed her story was finished, yet a single unexpected conversation rewrote every chapter she'd given up on. Stay with this moment, let it soften, because wisdom grows when you listen to the lessons your past tried teaching you gently. Sometimes what hurts sets you free, revealing patterns you no longer need to repeat as you choose healthier love than before. Have you noticed how clarity arrives quietly, usually after you've finally stopped arguing with the truth your heart already accepted? A quiet laugh,
A breath.
a breath. The world softens when you realize healing doesn't erase your past. The heart doesn't grow old, it grows honest, guiding you toward a love that honors the person you've worked hard to become. Once, someone told me they feared starting over, but starting over becomes easier when you carry courage instead of regret. Stay with this thought, let it soften, because choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's preparation for loving someone with fewer conditions. Every love story begins with courage, especially the moment you decide your heart deserves more than it once accepted. Maybe love returns when you finally stop proving your worth and start living like someone who already knows they are enough. Between yesterday's lessons and tomorrow's courage, you discover the quiet rebirth that happens when your heart stops fearing its own tenderness. Stay with this thought, let it soften, because growth becomes possible the moment you release the pressure to rush your healing. Sometimes what hurts sets you free, revealing possibilities you never noticed when survival made you look only at the ground. Love isn't over, it's evolving, and every small step you take toward openness becomes a victory your future self will thank you for. A breath. The world softens during these transitions, where your heart relearns how to feel without flinching. Have you noticed how a new morning carries different meaning when you finally stop expecting yesterday's pain to return? Stay with this thought, let it soften, because acceptance becomes the soil where new affection grows without forcing anything. Maybe awakening isn't dramatic. Sometimes it's simply breathing easier around yourself than you once did. You're still becoming who you were meant to love, and every choice toward peace shapes the kind of connection you'll welcome. Tonight, write one promise to yourself, because honoring your own needs becomes the heartbeat of every reborn affection. I met someone who learned to love again simply by choosing presence each day, proving renewal isn't luck, it's consistent kindness. Stay with this thought, let it soften, because your experiences didn't break you, they shape the wisdom you'll carry into your next connection. Sometimes what hurts sets you free, preparing your heart for a gentler partnership than the ones you once fought to maintain. Have you noticed how genuine affection feels less like excitement and more like steady acceptance when you finally trust yourself deeply? A quiet laugh, a breath. The world softens when someone sees your history yet chooses your present without hesitation. Maybe love returns not to replace what you lost, but to highlight the strength you built while rediscovering your worth. Once, someone told me beginnings were rare after 50. Yet they learn new chapters appear when your heart finally believes again. Stay with this thought, let it soften, because trust grows when you stop comparing new affection to old stories. Every love story begins with courage, especially the one where you decide aging doesn't diminish your capacity to feel deeply. Maybe love finds you when you least expect it, because your heart finally recognizes connection not as risk, but as renewal.